would like to welcome you to Susan Lindgren's Elder Wisdom Children's Song. To begin, I'd like to offer this quote. Honor your elders, for they have wisdom to teach what we have not yet learned.
Welcome to our community celebration. It is our pleasure to share the wise words of our elders with all of you.
Elder Wisdom Children's Song was created by Larry Long, a songwriter who grew up here in St. Louis Park. At the heart of Elder Wisdom's Children's Song is collective songwriting.
These students had the opportunity to learn the oral history of three special people. Tonight we are excited to honor our elders through song. Each of the elders came to our school to share their life story with us, answering our questions. They passed down words of wisdom. We used their stories and words of wisdom to write our songs.
This project helped us stretch our creativity and thinking muscles. We analyzed their stories to find themes. These themes became the verses of the songs. We used their words of wisdom to create the refrain.
In addition to the song, we also created a book for each other. Throughout the process, we collaborated, needing to be open to others' perspectives. We worked together in our music and talent development classes. Please join us in welcoming our first elder, Miss Modette Burrows. Modette Burrows was born in Minnesota. Her parents immigrated from China. She lived in the metro her whole life, going to school in Minneapolis after marrying and having 4 children. She eventually left her job in insurance to begin volunteering at Peter Hobart. Over time, she got a position as a media assistant at Susan Lindgren. She likes helping students find a good book.
Our next elder is Mr. John Copeland. Mr. John Copeland was born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. His parents instilled him in the importance of work as a young child, as he and his siblings helped at a family-owned restaurant. After college, Mr. Copeland pursued a career as a manager. He and his wife had 3 children. In fact, Mr. Copeland moved to Minnesota to be closer to his daughter and his grandchild. Mr. Copeland was not ready to retire, so he began working as a custodian at Susan Lindgren and Aquila. Mr. Copeland enjoys getting to know the students.
Our third elder is Miss Lorna Smith. Miss Lorna Smith was born in Louisiana. At the age of 5, her family moved to Minnesota seeking a better life. Miss Lorna was taught to respect her elders and to love the Lord. She and her husband had 1 daughter, 2 grandsons, and 3 grandchildren. Miss Lorna came to Susan Lindgren after her retirement. She works in the cafeteria, helping students, making sure they are safe and respectful. Miss Burrows, on behalf of Miss Cornelius' class, thank you you for coming into our classroom to share your life story. We would like to give you these flowers to show our gratitude.
My father was not used to immigrating to the United States as a child. He lived and worked in San Francisco, California, Chicago, Illinois, and Minneapolis, Minnesota. He went back to China to marry my mother, Chen Chuang, in arranged marriage. My mother, however, did not come to the United States due to the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882.
Finally, my mother was allowed to enter the United States in 1954, bringing my older brother Jack and sister Susan, who were born in China. Intentionally, my sister did not pass the immigration test. Gift to all immigrants, so my mother had to stay in China for another year with my sister before they could apply to come to the United States again.
My father still has a house in the village of Taisan, which is located in the province of Guangdong, China. It is in the southern part of near Hong Kong. It's 500 years old. Life is hard in China for my mother and siblings. My mother had to take care of 2 children. The Japanese invaded China during World War II. There's not a lot of food. My mother and siblings faced starvation.
Growing up, I lived with other Chinese immigrants in Minneapolis. Most of us lived above businesses right in the heart of downtown. I went to Washington Elementary School, which was mostly kids of color. Very few white children lived in downtown at that time, unless they were children of immigrants. Since my dad was a chef at a well-known Chinese restaurant called the Napkin, he only had to walk a few blocks to work. My mother walked my brother and I to school every day.
Finally, my father saved enough money to buy a house in South Minneapolis. It was difficult for my father to buy a house because of racial covenants. Race covenants were clauses in property deeds that prohibited people of color from buying the property or house. Growing up with immigrant parents was difficult. I always had to be the translator for my parents, as well as explaining what could or could not be done in America.
Growing up in the 60s and 70s was difficult during the Vietnam War. I experienced much hatred towards Asian people because of the war. People looked at all Asian people as their enemy during the Vietnam War, which is similar to the hatred my father experienced during World War II, when the Japanese bombed Pearl Harbor and the Japanese Americans were put into internment camps.
Eventually, my family moved to South Minneapolis, where I went to Fuller Elementary and later Ramsey Junior High. I graduated from Washington High School in 1971. I started college at the University of Minnesota, but only went for 1 year of school because I didn't have enough money to continue schooling. I started working at Prudential Insurance Company in 1972 and worked there for 22 years. I started as a typist but worked my way up to writing insurance contracts for large companies.
In 1971, the summer after I graduated from high school, I met her husband, Tim. We dated for 4 years before we married. Tim grew up in St. Louis Park. In fact, my kids are the 5th generation to live in St. Louis Park. I have 4 children. When my youngest son was in kindergarten, I decided to volunteer at Peter Hobart. Then I started working part-time in the media center at Peter Hobart in Villa. Finally, I got my current position as a media assistant at Susan Lindgren. I love helping the students in the library.
My children are grown now with jobs of their own. I now have 5 grandchildren and love to spend time with them. During the summer, all our children come back to spend a couple of weeks at our family cabin. We love taking family vacations together as well as making family meals together. All of my children love Chinese food. I have passed on recipes and traditional Chinese cooking to my kids. We make a big Chinese meal for Chinese New Year. It is the most important holiday in my culture. As I reflect back on the prejudice her family has experienced, it reminds me of the importance of being kind to each other regardless of race or ethnicity. My words of wisdom to you is to listen to each other, get to know each other, and get to know each other's stories. on behalf of Miss Ma's class, thank you for coming into our classroom to share your life story. We would like to give you these flowers to show our gratitude.
My name is Mr. Don Copeland. I was born January 6, 1965 in Chicago, Illinois. I live in the neighborhood of Brownsville. I remember my neighborhood as mostly being people from Mississippi who moved to have a better life. My neighborhood had people from different nationalities: African, Indian, Spanish. The neighborhood was quiet. Kids played outside, built go-karts, made skates, and had fun. My favorite game was called Strikeout.
When I was very young, my father or pops was in the Vietnam War fighting for our country. My father came back when I was about 6, the day my dad came back from the Christmas. Pops became a police officer for the city of Chicago and worked as a sheriff for 30 years. My parents also owned a restaurant. Back in those days, children had to help out. Children would go to school and play, but they also did their part so everybody could be comfortable. Growing up during the 60s and 70s was extremely hard. I experienced racism. At times it was pretty painful. Sometimes recent events remind me of those days. My parents were the type of people that respected everybody. They tried to find the good in everyone. It didn't matter where you were or who you were from. During high school, I started working for Operation Bush, which stands for People United to Serve Humanity, run by Reverend Jesse Jackson. The organization helps people get jobs, get housing, get food, and so on. I worked there until my second year in college. In college, I studied business and economics. I worked for the White Sox teams in the 1980s. Eventually, I met the mother of my children when I was in my late 20s. We had 2 daughters. My oldest one is 34. She lives in New York and is in corporate management. My younger daughter used to live in Minnesota and was the reason I moved here, so I could spend more time with my grandchildren. My son skateboarded around the country representing Chicago. He was killed 6 years ago. I miss him. I did a lot of management work for about 30 years. I did many different things: retail management, hotel management, restaurant management, and internet management, trucking management, stuff of that nature.
After visiting Minnesota for 2 months, I realized I like it here and stayed. I tried to retire, but I couldn't, so I got a job. I began working for St. Louis Park Schools as a custodian. I loved working at Susan Lindgren, and I think and care for all the students.
My words of wisdom are to have respect for your elders, not just our parents, but all adults. Remembering the past, learning from our elders will help you with your future.
Misorna, on behalf of Ms. Kalastas, thank you for coming into our classroom to share your life story. We would like to give you these flowers to show our gratitude.
Born in Shreveport, Louisiana, my name is Miss Lorna. I was born Lorna Jean Baxell on July 8, 1945, near the Army base. Since my dad was in the service, my mom stayed home to raise the children. I was the oldest out of 5 children. At a young age, I was taught to respect my elders, learning a lot from my aunts and uncles. I was taught to call other people Mr. and Miss.
My parents were strict. They had rules. These rules came out of love in their heart because they cared. When I was a child, I would come home from school to either help my sisters and brothers with their homework or get their school clothes out for the next day. My dad would either have me start dinner or have it prepared by the time my parents got home from work. My family relocated to Minnesota when I was 5 years old. They felt there were more opportunities in Minnesota. I went to Grant Elementary School in North Minneapolis. I've been in North Minneapolis all my life so far. Then I went to Lindgren Junior High and then senior school. While in school, I participated in sports like track, high jump, and a little basketball. After graduating high school, I attended vocational educational school where I took up seamstress as a trade.
At 16, I had a part-time job working downtown Minneapolis at Stevens Uniform Company, where they made uniforms for different schools. I have worked a variety of jobs, such as Honeywell soldering wires to boards, and I worked for Liberty Carton for 24 years until I retired from Liberty Carton at the age of 62.
She married James Edward Smith in 1970. My husband and I planned and paid for their own wedding. In 1971, we had a daughter. Now I have 2 grown grandsons and 3 great-grandsons.
As a kid, my father made sure we went to church. I attended choir rehearsal, Bible study, whatever was going on. My siblings were there. I keep faith in the Lord, praying and asking for help.
I have seen a lot of change in my life. When I was younger, Minnesota was more segregated, with people of different races and religions living in separate neighborhoods. Now it seems as if people are more open with black and brown skinned people. I feel as if people are beginning to realize that everyone is important.
Several years ago, I was working for Park Adams Bus Company. Someone mentioned that Principal Pollock needed a person to work in the lunchroom at Susan Lindgren. I interviewed and have been working at Susan Lindgren ever since.
My words of wisdom. To listen to our elders. There is so much to learn from your elders. It is for your own good, so try to listen.
You
Ms. Rose, Mr. Copeland, and Ms. Lorna, we are so grateful for your willingness to share your stories with us. We learned a lot from you.
Hopefully, as we grow up, we will remember and follow your words of wisdom.
Finally, we have a gift for you, a book of your life story and the lyrics of your song.
So as we come to the conclusion of tonight's performance, I'd like to offer this moment for any of the elders who may wish to speak to our community.
Thank you. Wow. That's all I can say tonight. It was just wow. These kids are terrific. I want to thank Mrs. Cornelius' class for listening to my story and interviewing me. It has been so special to me to share my story. I also want to thank the staff, and especially to Ms. Runke Jones and Mr. Thomas, and all the students at Susan Lindgren School for helping put together this program. I know everyone put a lot of hard work into making this happen. To the St. Louis Park community, I want to thank everyone for their kindness and their welcoming to diversity in this community. You know, my husband, Tim, is a 4th generation, and my children are the 5th generation of Roses to live and go to school in St. Louis Park. There is a reason we live in St. Louis Park, and you are all part of that reason. Thank you for listening to my story, and also remember to be kind and take the time to listen to someone's story. It may open up a whole new world of understanding. Thank you.
Wow. Sometimes when you reach our peak, you feel like you forget. So even just working in the school and being around the children, it's kind of like being in a candy store. When you're a kid, you look at the children, you see yourself and you was back there, and you pray and hope that they do learn from you and respect you for yourself and your wisdom. And whatever you can give them, you hope that it helps them down the line as well. You know? And now, I'm at another school now, but now I see why I miss Susan so much. Because I miss all of them. And I want to thank everybody, especially the children, for recognizing and telling my story.
Hello, everybody. You guys are something else. I enjoyed all 3 of the songs. Very good. Very good. Mr. T. Good job. awesome. This is an awesome school. I started working here 4 years ago. The first day I started, I was welcome. Miss Rome, Mr. Clearance, Miss Blummer, and Miss Michelle. They're awesome. I love them. I really do love them. Come on, I'm gonna do it. But anyways, I want to thank you very much. I've had it a little hard, but it's getting better. As I get older, and I do have a few more years to go, I'm hoping. July 8th, I hope to be 77 years old. But I thank everybody for the program tonight, especially the kids. I know I get on y'all's nerves every day. I know I get on their nerves every day. But they seem to respect me more than I respect you. And I'm just trying to teach you and have you learn. Life is not easy. It's hard out here. But hey, sometimes you get to do some things you don't want to do. But just keep respect. And young people, us in these first names is not going to work. I want a Miss or a Mr. in front of that name. Tell them. They know it, because I like, yes, I'm educating them. That's it. But anyway, I thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Elder Wisdom Children's Song is his. So, come on up, Mr. Lon. Let's give him a round of applause for all of this.
Isn't it wonderful to come together as a community in person? Be a part of it. Without the gift of these young people giving melody and words to the elders and upon whose shoulders they stand. A big round of applause to these young folks. I've been doing Elder Wisdom Children's Song for 30 years, and I've honored over 1,000 elders through this process. But this is the first time that this work has been led by the teachers and by the schools, and I have such gratitude for the St. Louis Park School District for having the courage to take this on. Thank you to the superintendent. And I would like to offer just some flowers to some of the team, one of which is Dr. Patrick Duffy. Come on up, Patrick. Come on. Pulled out of retirement to do this work. Thank you so much, Patrick. I want to give thanks to Mrs. Carrie Rucky Jones, the talent and development teacher. I'd like to give you and I tell you, it's Mr. Joe Thomas.
For your training so that we can continue Elder Wisdom Children's Song in St. Louis Park. Thank you to Superintendent Osai, to Dr. relying 100% on Joe. And then we find out we've got musicians in the building. So I'd like to thank Stephen and I'd like to thank our elders for their time, for being vulnerable, for being honest. Without Mr. Joe Thomas, that is so much the truth. He is passionate about this program. He is passionate about honoring the elders, about valuing the voice and the input of students. He is talented and gifted. Please, 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 give it up for Mr. Thomas.
Wow. I'm over there moving. I got to hear this for the second or third time, and this was a phenomenal performance tonight. Students, I am so very, very proud of you. The heart and soul, the collaboration that you all did together was amazing. I remember. Wow, these three, just amazing, just amazing people. What they have shared, what they have given to this community is amazing in so many special, unique ways. Modette, Don, and Lorna, I can't thank you enough for all the love, passion you have put into this school community. We love you so much in many, many ways, so thank you for being part of this process and teaching us how to be kind, how to take a break, and especially with everything happening in our world, in our nation. Tonight definitely filled my bucket of hope, inspiration, and action. We have to move into action. So one more big round of applause.